Just when you thought the housing market couldn't get any worse, another astonishing week of events has pushed the housing bubble into ridiculous territory. We knew costs had risen by more than 30% since the summer of 2019. This figure is much higher in some special markets such as Miami. However, property values might not necessarily reflect the entire picture. Everything we've seen thus far pales in contrast to what happened last week. Today's video delves into the market's incredible changes. At first, if this is your first visit to our Smart Stocks Academy channel, please accept my best greetings. To be the first to know when a new video like this is posted, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell next to it. So if you're ready, let's get to the topic. The increase is just another punch in the gut for first-time buyers, driving the American dream further away. The major issue is that you could believe that the price of a property is the only factor that matters when it comes to affordability, but this is only one component of the puzzle. It should come as no surprise that the vast majority of homes in the United States are purchased with a mortgage, a large debt that is normally paid back over a 30-year period. You pay the bank interest for allowing you to enjoy this luxury for 30 years. Interest rates were at an all-time low in early 2021. Back in August, it wasn't uncommon to find a 2.77% 30-year fixed loan, and many people refinanced to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime chance. But hearing the percentage doesn't truly put the importance of this number into perspective. The average American home currently costs roughly $428,700. That's unpleasant enough, but just to illustrate how the interest rate affects this price, I will give you a little demonstration. If we go to consider and use their mortgage calculator, we can easily determine how much we should anticipate to pay each month, including interest, insurance, and taxes. So, if you bought a $428,700 house in August with a 2.77% interest rate, your monthly mortgage payment would be roughly around $2,200. Since August, the rate has been soaring, and it now stands at over 5%. With the current interest rate, the same house would cost $2,700 per month. Because of a 2.3% change in the interest rate, this is a 20% increase. And guess what? This figure is only going to become worse. So how did I figure it out? Well, I'm going to reveal some pretty compelling evidence. Mortgage rates are calculated using a 10-year treasury bill. To save you the trouble of describing what it is, just know that it is a financial instrument whose return varies depending on a variety of factors. This rate appears to be set to grow further for a variety of factors connected to inflation and Fed policy. We know this because the Federal Reserve recently conducted a meeting, and that meeting minutes were made public a few weeks later, indicating what Fed officials think about future interest rates. Because of soaring inflation, most central bankers have changed their tune and became hawkish, indicating that they intend to raise rates rapidly to confront out-of-control inflation. This will normally raise the 10-year yield, which will have an impact on 30-year mortgages. CNBC has put together a concise synopsis.
The Fed minutes giving the markets more to think about as the central bank plans to reduce its balance sheet and signals half-point rate hikes are ahead. Steve Leisman joins us right now with more. Steve, the minutes, I guess, hammering home what the markets have been slowly coming around to the last several weeks.
Yeah, it's like this gradual wake up. What the minutes showed, Becky, was this widespread support among members for what amounts to, when you put it all together, one of the most aggressive tightening cycles since at least 1994.
So, as the anchor just mentioned, they're comparing this time to the early 1990s, when the 10-year growth rate was nearly 9%. Buying a home back then meant paying 10% interest, and it is highly probable that this will happen again if the Fed sticks to its plan. If that were the case, our $428,000 house would cost us $3,800 every month. If the Fed is serious about fighting inflation, it should look back to a time in American history when it did so, the early 1980s. A mortgage would have cost you 18% back then, believe it or not. Some argue that our country will never be able to afford such a thing again, and they may be correct. The current median household income in the United States is $74,099. That is the gross count, which means before the government deducts its tax part. It is also the median household income, which is the sum of the earnings of all working adults in the home. So, assuming you pay 20% in taxes, the average American household will have roughly $4,400 in cash every month. So, what am I getting at here? Now I'm ready to demonstrate how horrible this can all get. According to poll statistics, 64% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck and have an average savings account of less than $5,000. In order to avoid mortgage insurance, you must typically put down 20% as a down payment when purchasing a property. We can figure something out now that we have these numbers. If the average house in America costs $428,000 and mortgage rates are currently 5%, we can assume that with a 5% down payment, which is a generous assumption given what I just said, your monthly payment would consume roughly 73% of your household income. That leaves you with $1,210 to keep your house in good repair, buy food for your family, pay for utilities, and other necessities. There isn't much breathing room, especially if you have kids. In the same situation, if interest rates rise to 10%, your mortgage will absorb more than 100% of your household income, leaving you with nothing for everything else. Knowing this, you may assume that higher interest rates equal cheaper pricing, but I would be cautious about making such a judgment. While many experts think that this is a given, a new reality for the young generation is currently unfolding. Inventory is at an all-time low. We have also reached the lowest level of available housing in almost 2 decades. Nobody with a 2.7% mortgage is going to trade it in for a 5% or 10% mortgage. The few residences that are for sale are, in my opinion, are being snapped up by privileged buyers. These are persons who usually fit into one of 4 groups. The first is most obvious: wealthy individuals. There are numerous, despite the fact that there aren't many. The top 10% of America have a median income of over $200,000, while the top 10% of America is made up of over 33 million people. That is only a rough calculation, but you get the idea. There are a lot of wealthy people in our country who are snatching up the few residences that are available. Next, we have parental assistance, which is a little version of that. According to a new survey, up to half of millennial purchasers receive financial assistance from their parents. Yes, if you're curious to know if your friend was able to afford the new $1 million build while working on an apparently average job, it is very likely that he or she received some assistance from his or her father, who happens to be a partner in his legal firm, and justifiably so, given the prices. Parents will normally support their kids make such a step in their lives if they are competent. Institutions and investors are the third group. There are many people active in the real estate market. Most of them are cash purchasers. These are real estate flippers, landlords, institutions, and a variety of others who specialize in acquiring properties with multi-million-dollar portfolios. Finally, there are some who invested in a hot market before the bubble burst and are now cashing out to invest in lower-cost places. Californians are selling their $1 million houses to buy in Idaho, Florida, and Texas, according to reports. Unfortunately, all of this adds up to a depressing conclusion. Buying a home in America has essentially become impossible. A fantasy that is only attainable for our society's highest earners and institutions. Rising interest rates will simply exacerbate the situation, and even if prices decline, monthly payments will remain basically unchanged if rates continue to rise. And with that, the video for today is over. If you haven't already, hit the like button below to show your love and support for this video. Also, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell next to it to be the first to know when a new video is posted. Thank you for stopping by to watch, and we hope you had a great time. We hope to see you again soon.